Life of Love with Julie Wilson.
Hello, dear friends, and welcome to Life of Love, where we gather each week to celebrate our life of love, whether it's a beautiful, elegant, pink rose type of life of love day, or if it's I can't get off the floor and I'm just not having a good life of love. And all of them are perfectly valid. So I'm holding space for all the ways you express your life of love. And I hope you can come here for resource, inspiration, and a community. And that's what it's become. So thank you for sharing these episodes and thank you for being here. And yeah, if you think of someone when you're listening to this recording, please share and add to that grid of light that we're contributing to with our hearts and our minds, and just trying to make this world into what we want to be proud of and what we want to pass on to our kids. So with that, I'm going to set our intention and introduce our special guest, for this week's episode. So I invite you, if you're not driving, you can close your eyes, but if you are, just, settle into your seat and just relax, take a deep breath. And I'm going to connect to my heart, and I'm calling in my creator, and I'm asking him or her to work through me and for me to bring forth this episode for the highest good. Help me be in my ultimate timeline of service, of self-care. And I ask my guides and my highest good angels and the Holy Spirit to work through us and for us to bring forth a message to help anyone who's willing to soften their hearts to a message of love, of caring, and of support as we bring forth practical ways to be present in your life and to be in command with intention and attention. And I have a feeling we're going to talk about that today. And I'm asking our guides to come forward, Emmy's team and my team to collaborate as they see fit. And I'm just so honored. And I thank you, thank you, thank you. And so it is.
And so it is. My God, I want to come back and watch this beginning of this podcast every day. I feel so charged up. That was so wonderful, Julie.
Yeah, I mean, I noticed when I did it, I used to do it before I started recording, and it helped me so much to get centered in the space and create a space. And so I had guests yell at me like, "Why don't you make that part of the show?" So I just laid out there. I'm like, "This is what we're about," and I'm happy that it helps you get in your space. But yeah, it's something I have to do to have the courage to come forth, because this isn't easy. I get sweaty palms every time.
It's a beautiful way to start anything, and I'm so honored and delighted to be here with you today.
Oh, thank you, Emily. Emily Laybourne is here today. Wow, she's had quite a life. And I mean, just being on a set, and she was an actor, and you might have seen the Mary Catherine movie Superstar in 1999. She is her best friend, Mary Catherine's best friend. So cool.
It was so fun.
It's so fun. I mean, just the cafeteria scene when you guys break into dance is just like, I love that scene. I think I could watch that every morning, get charged up for my day. So thank you for that.
Well, I'll tell you something funny about that dance scene is that you can see in the dance scene, if you watch again, this is the movie Superstar we're talking about. The dance scene is probably about halfway through, I think. There are all these professional dancers dancing behind us. And then I'm next to Will Ferrell and Molly Shannon, and they're both very good dancers. And my character is very geeky, and she's very awkward, and she's always sitting to the side like this, and she's just like a goofball. But I, Emmy Laybourne, am dancing as hard as I can. I am trying to dance really well, but because I'm not a professional dancer, it still looks like I'm dancing in character. But I want you to know when you watch it again that I'm dancing to the best of my ability in that scene.
You put your heart out there. It's so good. Oh my gosh, was Will Ferrell so fun to be around?
Such a dreamy guy.
Yeah.
So lovely, so generous. Extras in the film would come up to us. He and Molly were on Saturday Night Live at that time, of course, but Will wasn't superstar famous yet. I mean, he wasn't a superstar himself. He hadn't done Elf yet. He hadn't sort of done his biggest film roles, but the extras knew him from Saturday Night Live, and they would come up and sort of improvise with him. They would just start little scenes, and he would always improvise and do these bits with everybody. He was incredibly generous.
Mm,
actor and man and person.
wow. It does come through. It does come through in his
It
in
does, yeah. I
everything that he
interrupted
does.
you. You were
Oh, no.
introducing me, and I completely took you away with my superstar story.
Yeah, so Emmy, she's a mom and she's a writer, an author, and you know, you want to take your situation of hitting rock bottom
Yes.
and use it to help other people. In your description, it was really pretty. It was like you hit rock bottom with your phone use and came back swinging.
Yeah.
This addictive behavior on the phone that you were called to share and come at it from a scientific point of view. So I'm really excited to have you on to share what you've learned and spiritually how our phones are affecting us and just, how we can, use them for our purposes, not let them steal our thunder.
Yes. Well, I love the way you're phrasing that, bringing forward this message, and that I was called to bring it forward because it's really true. I was an actor, as you said. Then I actually went to film school in screenwriting when my children were really young. My daughter was 3 months old when I started at UCLA, and she was 3, and I was pregnant with our second kid when I graduated. So I thought I was going to be a screenwriter. But then my husband wanted to go back to grad school in New York. So we wound up in this small town in New York State. And I decided to write young adult novels instead of screenplays. And that's really what I've been doing for the last, 15 years or so, is I've been writing novels. Talking about phone addiction was not in my plan at all. This is not something I wanted to do, and not something, certainly not an area that I ever wanted to be an expert in, was recovering from phone addiction. But I think, like many people, my phone just started to have a bigger and bigger role in my life, in my daily life. And I really had trouble with mobile gaming. So I was playing games on my phone. And what would happen is I would be like a little bit stressed out, and I would think, oh, let me just play a few games on my phone. That'll help me relax. And it would be 15 minutes the first day, 20 minutes the second day, and then cut to, 3 weeks later, and I was playing games for 4 hours a day. Well, when you're a novelist and you have to make yourself sit down at your computer every day and work. That's how you make your living. To have an addiction that was taking you 4 hours a day to feel like you were ready to work or you were unstressed, it was just eating up my time. But then what happened is that I was in one of these cycles where I'd started spending more and more time on my phone, and I had a perfectly lovely day with my daughter. We had brunch together. We got our ears pierced. My third holes, her fifth holes, her ears.
Oh,
And yeah, and then we watched Love Island, we had dinner, it was like a really lovely day, and we had an early dinner because 'cause we'd started the day so early, and she went off to hang out with her friends. I went into my home office and played games on my phone for 7 hours until 3 o'clock in the morning. And I went to bed, and when I woke up the next morning, I felt like I'd been kicked down the stairs. My brain wasn't working. I was foggy-headed. I was filled with self-loathing for having done this thing off by myself, isolated, that I knew was bad for me. And then I realized that I had picked up my phone without even realizing it. I'd picked it up from the charger because it was an extension of my body. And I looked at it and I thought, I think this device is doing damage to my brain. And it
Mm.
was like a, a, a revelatory flash of light. And I said, I've got to stop. I have got to stop this right now. And so I went and I picked up a book that I had started reading 6 months ago, but I had stopped because when I was reading the book, I thought, if I read this book, I'm going to have to change, and I'm not ready to change. I don't want to change. So I picked up the book. It's called Dopamine Nation by Dr. Anna Lemke. And I read the whole book in one sitting. I just sat down and read it cover to cover. And over the next few days, I got this plan for myself of how I was going to kick my phone addiction. And because I'm a writer and I have lots of ideas, I'm used to taking an idea that comes in and weighing it and seeing how to flesh it out and running it by people, and I get their opinions. So I ran this idea past people. I did a bunch of research, and in a very short amount of time, I created this program for myself to follow. I called it Analog April because it was March of 2024 when I did all of this. So I started Analog April, which was I put a total seal on, or what I called the seal, onto gaming and social media. So for 30 days, I did not look at social media or look at a game. If somebody was playing a game sitting next to me on the subway, I looked away. I was incredibly strict about it. I also reached out to friends and family. I journaled every day. I meditated every day. I did some chanting. I gave myself permission to do all of these things that I loved to do when I was a child that I hadn't done in years. And I gave myself permission. In fact, I gave myself the assignment of doing things that I loved that I no longer did because of my phone. So I read a lot. I went to dinner with friends. I went to a botanical garden. And the great thing is that at the end of this month, I felt so much better. My ideas came back. My brain was making connections again. I mean, it was a really big change. It was a transformation. So after this happened, now I'm a novelist, right? And I'm thinking, I don't want to write a book about this. I was like, please, God and angels and forces of the universe, don't make me do something about this. I don't want to be an expert in phone addiction. I just want to be a novelist. But
Right.
the more I lived my life and the more I saw people struggling, and everywhere I looked, and honestly, I think this problem is worse in America than it is in other countries. I saw stressed out moms on their phones, and I saw stressed out moms handing devices to babies and toddlers to keep them busy so that the moms could eat dinner or look at their own phones. And I just thought, I have got to help. I've got to try to help people because we're all in this predicament where we have this device that's now so integral to modern life. You can't go to the store without your phone as your wallet. You can't get anywhere because we navigate with our phones. So phones are really integral to our lives, but you don't have to be addicted to social media or mobile games. You just don't. So I want to share this message with people. And that is why I'm here. And thank you so much, Julie, for giving me this moment to speak to your audience and to share this story to try to connect and help people.
Well, I appreciate you generously sharing your angst because it takes a lot. And you are a perfect person to share it because your job depended on your being sovereign of your thoughts and of your time.
What a
And
great
I
word.
know
Yes.
I'm not a big writer, but I wrote this book and it takes a lot of focus. It really does.
Hold it up so we can see the cover even better.
Life of Love.
Gosh, well, I can't wait to buy that book and dig in.
Well, I'll send one to you.
Please, that would be
Maybe
great.
not when you're in Europe. I'll send it
No,
to you when you get back to the States.
me in the States, and I'll
You
send
don't
you one.
need something heavy to come back in your luggage either. I'll send you a copy. But yeah, I mean, I know I had to sit my butt down and I had a time and it's like if you don't focus and have that time, it's just gone. And there's no one to
It is
tell
good.
you that you got to get back on it. You have to really it's a lot of self-discipline. So it makes it very
Yeah,
poignant
and there's
that
nothing that will slurp up your time faster than a phone. I mean, you open Instagram and 2 hours later,
Mhm.
and it doesn't feel like you've spent time on it, but you have. That's 2 hours that phone just drank up. Yeah.
Right. And we talk about boundaries with other people, but
Mm,
boundaries with ourselves and our time was what I wanted to explore with you on this because
great.
one, it's identification. Like, what are signs from your research? What are signs that, yeah, this is out of hand besides yourself saying, gosh, I spent way too much time? Like, you're the little
Mhm.
angel on your shoulder does tell you, boy, that was a sort of a waste of time there. Yeah,
Yeah.
but what are some red flags that people can look at so we can
Well,
just remind them?
yes, I love that idea. There are some great checklists about phone addiction, and there are some clinical addiction checklists that you can use, but here are some signs that you can use in your life. The first one is it's really easy. Are people in your life complaining that you're on your phone too much? So
Mm.
is your family members, are your coworkers, is anybody sort of looking at you and shooting you the stank eye that you're on your phone too much? That's a really easy one. If they are, you're on your phone too much. Keeping track of your screen time is really helpful. Some people don't know that your phone can tell you exactly how much time you're spending on certain apps. So the average American spends about 4 hours a day on their phone. Now, some of that time is for things you need, like navigating that's not really counting like listening to music or driving somewhere. That's counting time you're spending on messages and certainly games and apps that you use that are helpful, as well as apps you use that are wasting your time. So paying attention to your screen time. Are you over 4 hours a day? Are you at 6 or 8 or 10 hours a day? I mean, that's a really helpful sign. I think it would be great to aim for under 3 hours a day. I think that would be great. Let's see. There are some other signs that you are spending too much time on your phone, but they're a little harder. They're a little trickier because they think that we have gotten so accustomed to this kind of phone burnout that we think they're normal. But things like having a reduced attention span, that's one. So if you
Mm.
find that you can't really pay attention to things the way you used to, if you pick up a book and you used to be able to read for an hour at a time, but now after 15 minutes, you're checking your phone, that's a sign. If you have difficulty concentrating or coming up with creative ideas, but you used to be a really creative person, if your sleep is fractured, but you used to sleep really well, those are all things that are indicative that you're spending too much time on your phone. And there's
Uh,
lots
yeah.
that's just a handful to start with.
Yeah, I struggle with there's so many uses for my phone. It's like a utility knife, you know. It's like
Mm,
use it to wake up in the morning. I use it to keep myself, running on time. I set reminders. Yet that ding, I'm like, "Oh, what am I missing? What am I supposed to be doing next?" And then, you go on it to check the weather, but then you get a pop-up from Instagram that somebody, posted a vacation picture. And then you're like, oh, and so it's so easy to they say the squirrel moments,
mm,
which I
yeah.
struggle with it non-digitally. So the squirrel moments on my phone is like and I do relate to that feeling of fuzziness. What am I even thinking? What did I even come on my phone for?
Mhm.
And, to have that space where you're like, okay, this is a tool. I'm not a slave to this.
Yeah. Well, I've got a couple things to say about what you just said. One is
Yeah.
that those notifications are really one of the most subversive tools that apps have to try to get you to look at them. So if you stop thinking of your phone as your friend, that's really step one. Your phone is not your friend. Your phone is a little machine. Most apps on it are designed to use up your attention, and that's how they make money. So your phone, it's like, we think of it like you said, like a calculator, like a utility knife. It's so helpful and useful. And it is. It truly, truly is. And then the notification from Instagram comes, and that is an advertisement designed to get you to come to Instagram so they can sell your eyeballs to advertisers.
Mhm.
So when you make that little shift, that's really helpful. And if we're talking about boundaries, I have a tip for your audience, which is get really strict with your notifications. Only allow notifications that are helping you stay on time. And I go so far as to say really remove all notifications, because if you're like
Mhm.
most people, I mean, not the ones to keep you on time. Your alarms, totally valid. If you need a ping that's like, "Hey, you're recording a podcast in 10 minutes," you need that on there. But
Mhm.
you don't need you never need an Instagram notification. And, you don't need any notifications from news agencies or Maybe you need them from your bank telling you that you've cashed a check. That's great. But most notifications can be turned off. And if you do that, the phone stops calling your attention so much, and it helps you use it as a tool instead of getting sucked in to that squirrel mind. Oh, I think most people, when they pick up their phone, they check about 5 apps. They pick it up and they check messages, Gmail. I pick it up. I check messages, Gmail, WhatsApp. And then I sort of look at my phone and go, don't I have anything else I can check? But I've made my phone really boring because of these boundaries that I've set for myself. So I'm like, there's nothing else to look at, so I have to put my phone down. So there are some tips just off the cuff that might be helpful.
It'd be nice if the companies paid us for having the apps. So, like, if they're making money off of our eyeballs, why can't we have some system to say, well, you're going to pay for half of my phone if I'm going to have your apps on my phone? Like, I would love that kind of situation. Let's bring an abundance around this.
Love that idea. Let's change our expectations of what Instagram should be paying you for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it should pay for your. I love that idea.
Let's hold space for that. Thank you, abundance. So I have to ask you, and ever since I went on your website, I see this, and I want to know if anyone else has the same, because it's energetic for me. Your logo with your tiger. How did you come up with that? I want to hear the backstory of that, and then I'm going to tell you how it hits me and how it helps me.
I'm so glad you're mentioning the tiger. My daughter, who's 22, named the tiger Kitty. So his name is Kitty. He is a boy to me. I came up with the tiger. Part of what's been really fun, actually, in doing this business, the business is called Fight Your Phone. And so that's the website you've gone to, is fightyourphone.com. And I am a novelist, as I said, an actor, former actor, but I love graphic design. I love writing. I love writing emails. So it's been a fun part of this project that I get to imagine the brand and what I want to say. And so I did the design. I found the tiger. He's the work of a wonderful Russian artist whose name I cannot pronounce. I am sad to say. I need to learn how to pronounce her last name. She sold the tiger and a bunch of other tigers on a website called Creative Marketplace, where you can buy graphic design elements. And then I took the tiger and I found this picture of a 1980s cell phone, that big brick-like phone that was like this. You had to like hold it with both hands. It was so big.
Yeah.
And
It used to come with a suitcase. Those are so fun.
And I put them together. And, what often happens in creativity, it's when you put ideas together or images together that they become playful and powerful. So I took this wonderful Russian artist's tiger and put it with this clunky 80s phone. And the tiger already had so much attitude and he's like so sassy and funny. But then I got to make it, in my imagination, even funnier by putting in these phones. And then I also enjoyed drawing these pencil scratch marks as if like the tiger had ripped it apart with his claws. And so at first I was trying to create imagery that was very romantic, actually. And the name of it was always Fight Your Phone, but it was like, children with balloons and parks and bicycles. And like, I was trying to trigger a nostalgia for the time before we had phones. But I do want people to come at this work with a really playful attitude. So I had fun trying to make like visual jokes that I found funny. So tell me, what do you like about Kitty?
Yeah, Kitty is really funny. And then also, I found myself when I was going toward like wasting time, like the worst one is like Facebook or something. Like they know the post to send me that I'm like, oh, that's just wrong, and I want to say something. Like, and I
Yes.
don't say anything. I'll type up a response and then delete it, because it's like, I just have to get it off my chest. And I try to take energy that doesn't serve humanity and transmute it for a higher purpose.
I love that.
And so sometimes I go in there and but I waste, it's a lot of time, and I have to be, so I've actually pictured Kitty in my mind. I'm like, I'm done. I've got the fierceness. Like I am
Yeah.
going to be a tiger against
Yes.
this oppression, the slavery. Like it becomes slavery.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so, yeah, he's been like my icon to say, okay, that's enough. And the power and the levity of him. So thank you for that image. And I hope people can go on there and just, I mean, if nothing else, read what you have to say. You know, sign up for the 1 hour phone detox
Yes.
information,
Yes.
because just think of the hours that you'll save not being a slave to something that's just lining someone else, some corporation's pocket.
My gosh.
We all
Yes.
need to make money, but come on, like I said, give the people something back.
Yeah. Well, I think what's interesting too is that people turn to their phones. They turn to apps like Instagram and gaming apps and Facebook and TikTok because they feel good when you first open them up. You get a burst of dopamine and you're like, so it's like, oh, I'm so stressed. I'm upset. I just want to look at my phone and veg out for a minute. I mean, how many times have you heard your kids say that? How many times have we all thought that to ourselves? Like, I just need a break. I'm going to look at my phone. But what we don't realize is that dopamine burst that you get, it's not very long lasting. So then your brain wants more and more. So you keep scrolling this content, looking for another burst to make you feel good again. But the truth is that if you walked around the block, you would actually feel good. If you just got up and did 10, push-ups. I can't do 10 push-ups, but if you could and you did them, you'd feel great. Like the things that you used to do when you were a child that gave you joy and pleasure are much better at restoring the balance of your brain. So the phone is sort of tricking us into thinking that it's going to make us feel better when it's actually just going to take from you. It's just taking from you.
It's just
Um,
taking. Yep.
and
I
oh
know
gosh,
it. I was just thinking like, have your tiger do a Tai Chi move,
phone
kitty.
down.
It's so good. And all the no shame to this, because
Mm,
things are difficult, and if you get some dopamine, it's like there's no judgment to this, but know that movement and, space and time and being out in fresh air gives you such a more healthy effect than a quick dopamine hit from
yeah.
an addictive device. They know what they're doing. Like these apps are created knowing the way the brain works, and it's a cycle that is not easy to break. So I appreciate you offering resource and hope. This isn't something you have to live with. Yeah.
Yes. And I want to be really clear about something because I have a bunch of tips that I can give you. I can give you 10 tips that will help limit the time on your phone, little things you can do to make little adjustments. But those tips don't really get into that shame that you're talking about. And I think that there's a lot of shame around phone use. I think people feel like, I know better than this. I know. Like when I say, hey, you're wasting your time. Check your screen time. Are you spending more than 4 hours on your phone a day? I can imagine your viewer going, yeah, I am. I know. I know it's bad. Stop telling me it's bad for me and stop giving me little tips because my willpower to stand up to this device is depleted. I don't have any more
Hmm.
willpower, right?
Right.
And those
Yeah.
tips all rely on willpower. So that is why this method that I've created is different. It's different from all of these tips. The New York Times had an article recently about, tips. It was literally called like tips to spend less time on your phone. And because I'm working in this area, like 20 people sent it to me on email, by text. They're like, have you seen this? Have you seen this? I'm like, yeah, I know about the tips. The tips aren't helping us. So
Mm-mm.
what you really need is a big transformational change. And you don't have to put down your phone forever. You still get to use your phone as a tool. But what I'm teaching people is a way to identify the apps that you're addicted to and then put a hard seal on them for 30 days. So you mentioned my program, the 1 hour phone fight, and the 1 hour phone fight is a masterclass that I teach. It will not surprise you if I say that it is 1 hour long because it's in the name. In that 1 hour, I lay forward how to identify the apps that you're addicted to, how to put a hard seal on them so that you will not look at them for 30 days, how to get a team behind you so that you have the support you need to do this, and then um, ways to schedule yourself for fun and for activities that regenerate your brain and bring your brain back together that feel amazing. And I give a bunch of resources for how to do this. And that is 1 hour long. And then if students want to, if they want more support, I offer something called the 5-week phone fight, which is an online course that lays out the same program. It's still the same 1 month abstinence period, but it takes you through it day by day and it holds your hand and it's really lovely. It's filled with uplifting messages and fun exercises. And at the end of it, what's great is that you feel so much better because your brain is working better. You've given yourself back the way to really find joy. You've examined, what happens when you put your phone down is often you discover that there's something that you're trying to run from, something that hurt.
It's escapism.
Yeah, you're escaping. So when you put it down, you've come face to face with that pain or anxiety or emotion, whatever it is that's there that you've been trying to run from. But when you face it and get tools and get help to face it, it's really becomes manageable is what I found and what my students are reporting back. So then at the end of this month of detox that you've done, this month-long abstinence period, just from the apps that you identified, you feel so much better that going back to them, it's really not that appealing.
Mm-hmm.
It's now been more than a year after I did Analog April, the first 5-week phone fight, and I've not played a single game. I still don't look at games. And I use social media now as a creator in a very intentional way. So I go on it about 5 minutes a week. I go on, I post something, I get off. I don't scroll. I don't consume it at all. And I wouldn't want to. I don't want to. So if you are willing and ready to transform and really make a break from your phone, you see these huge, huge dividends. And if you're not ready, I got lots of tips. I still think, every hour that you can stay off your phone is an hour that you're giving your brain. And those tips they work. They're great. Tips are great. But lasting transformational change that is the stuff.
Yeah. So I just have to ask you because what comes up to me is like, it used to be you got the newspaper and you knew, I mean, I'm just going to get a little morbid. Like, I
Yeah.
wouldn't know that somebody has passed away
Mm.
unless I see it on my Facebook feed or someone calls me. So it's like, that's just one example, but like the sense of community that you know what's going on in your friends' lives. You can call them and say, hey, I saw your post. Are you okay?
Mhm.
How do you replace that sense of community that's been mostly, I mean, for my generation, it's mostly Facebook. It's not so much on Instagram, but like that sense of community and connection on Facebook that you know what's going on in people's like people you went to college with or people from your hometown. Not everyone lives in the same hometown anymore. So how do you replace that sense of community? And can you give any insight into that? Because I think that's what some people are looking for, this connection. And is it real? Is it real on Facebook? Like, I wanna explore that too. Yeah, like, I wouldn't have known my friend's father passed away unless I'd seen her posted on Facebook. So how do we navigate that and feel connected?
That is such a great question, Julie. And I think that is a question that a lot of people who use Facebook for nurturing others, for connection, that they have. It's a sincere concern, and I really understand it.
Mhm.
The short answer, I mean, the practical answer is that you say to your friends and you post on Facebook, "Love it, friends. I am not going to be on Facebook much anymore. I've come to realize it has too big a role in my life. This doesn't mean that I don't want to connect with you, that I don't want to hear about what's going on in your life. I just don't want to get this from Facebook anymore. So I'm going to be reaching out to you more. And if something happens, or if something happens to a friend of ours that you think I want to know about, would you please text me? Would you
Oh,
please
I
give
love
me?
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because you're right that Facebook is really an illusion of connection. It
Mhm.
scratches the itch in the part of the brain that says, I want to know about everyone and I want to give love to people. So you think it kind of tricks part of your brain into going, I've done so. I've given my love to someone. But then if you call them, that is,
Mhm.
you call them and they burst into tears and they say, oh my gosh, thank you so much for calling. I've really been struggling. My father passed away and I'm so sad. I'm so alone. Thank you so much for calling. And that is the real connection. And in fact,
Mm.
saying, oh, darling, my heart is with you. Your father was such a wonderful soul. It does help a tiny bit, but nothing near the real connection of reaching out. So that is the practical solution to that. But what's the big problem is that now as a society, we're relying on Facebook to do emotional labor for us and to connect us and to be it's sort of like the town crier, that tells you
Mhm.
what's going on in your town. So that is a bigger problem because we've stopped talking to each other the way we used to. I mean, I remember my mother telling stories about my grandmother who would spend at least an hour on the phone every afternoon calling her friends to say, how are you? What happened today? And I remember as a teenager, you and me are Gen X. I mean, we talked on the phone for like literally 6 hours. You just talk
Yeah.
after friend and talk. And we're social animals. We need society. But Facebook is serving up a distorted kind of society now, especially these days with the amount of truthiness that's on there and the amount of disinformation that's on there. So you can't trust any of those posts. And it's not really your friend that you're talking to. I think there are ways to, once you stop relying on Facebook for connection with friends and family, your life actually gets a lot richer. That's the
And I
answer.
love that because how many times have you picked up the phone and the person's like, I was just thinking about you? That happens all the time.
All the
So when you get quiet, your intuition can tell you who you need to reach out to, like the energetics of it.
I think that's really, really smart. That's
Mhm.
really smart. And the other part is, if we go back to thinking about what life was like 50 years ago or 80 years ago for human beings before cell phones and smartphones certainly started disrupting the way we communicate, you don't really need to know everything. We don't need to know the news to this level of detail. We don't need to know, if you didn't know that your friend's father had passed away, and then you saw her in 2 years from now, and you said, how's your dad? How are your mom and dad? She said, honey, my dad passed away 2 years ago. You could still have that moment of connection then at a time that is determined by nature. That just like, you don't need to know right now on many things. Granted, there are things, there are exceptions to this, of course. But I think that once you start questioning all of your assumptions about social media, it
Mhm.
starts to become clear that the animal part of your brain really wants it. It wants it. It wants the gossip too.
Mhm.
I know that you think a lot about dark motivation, dark forces, and turning those intentions into light, turning them into goodness. I think cell phone behaviors are driven by a lot of darkness or there's a lot of darkness behind them, the way they're manipulating us into being audiences and ads. We're consuming so many ads for products. All of that feels really sticky and gross to me.
Mhm. I love that. And what about, okay, so the time you spend on Facebook, maybe you just get in prayer and you shower the people you love with blessings and love. And God,
Yeah.
please send your love and the Holy Spirit's support to anyone who's struggling. I might not know who they are, but get quiet and say, anyone who's associated with you who needs this, I'm praying for you. Like maybe it's a blanket prayer over all your community. How lovely is that and empowering?
I could not agree more. I could not agree more. I think in general with social media, just get on and do what you need to do and get off. So don't consume. So if you want to go on to check everyone, to say happy birthday and to say, oh, Maria, I see you're in trouble. I love you. I'm sending you my love, and get off. Great. Perfect. That should take you 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes. So I'm all for that.
Love it. Thank you. Thank you. This has been so enlightening and fun. And I just have enjoyed. I know it's just been a
I
great,
love
great connection.
Yes, thank you so much, Julie. Your big heart is just shining through this podcast, and I know that everyone who watches this is going to feel touched by how much of yourself you're sharing. Thank you. Thank you
And
for
thank you for sharing. It takes a community, and you are part of it, dear
thank
sister.
you,
Yes.
Julie. Thank
Thank
you,
you.
and thanks to everyone who's watching today.